Hello, Charlie TCG here, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm breaking down my top 8 competitive decks to play the World Championships in Honolulu in just a few weeks' time. So I know you might be thinking, well, this is a little bit early, but the format has kind of been a bit defined in Japan, as well as also the community's had a lot of discussions, and we're already seeing some evolutions to this format. So I thought, what better place to look at what I think are the top 8 decks to play right now for the World Championships. These are going to be some lists which some decks may have fallen out of it, but also looking at the current format as well, how they are performing right now and how that could really impact your world testing if you are going to be going, or if you just want to be a bystander and look on the inside. This is going to be a perfect look and insight into what the meta is going to look like. So without further ado, let's jump at my number 8 pick. And that actually goes to Lost Box. Now, a lot of people might go, well, Lost Box has got a huge target on its head, with the likes of Kiram and Regidrago being incredibly powerful. But I think Lost Box is still in a really good place. It gains two really good cards. Serendipity and Night Stretch are really good inclusions. Serendipity is that really good on-built draw factor because you have got quite low HP Pokemon, so they're always going to be knocked out, and easy gain a guaranteed 3-card draw, which goes straight to hand and not lose any velocity, is really powerful. And Night Stretcher gets you back an energy card, gets you back a Pokemon, and not really relying on likes of Super Rod and teaming up with likes of Arsenal or Nestle to try and get any of these stuff out. Online right now is doing pretty well, being ranked 4 and has a 50% win rate. If we look at the rest of the meta, it's kind of already seen a very good sort of positive thing. Lots of 50%, but some of your worst matchups like Charizard and Regidrago, which I definitely think is going to be much worse going into the World's format. But if we look about how I would kind of like play Lost Box right now, this is kind of how I would kind of go around one. Still play the Sables up, but still have that Blood Moon Luna. I think is an incredibly powerful attacking option. You can see a box to go with 2 copies of Sableye, because I generally think Sableye is going to be a guaranteed good way to win the game. If we're seeing the likes of Charizard being one of the most strongest decks, similar likes of Gardevoir, these are going to be lots of evolution style decks. So spreading around lots of damage counters, whether it be through Monkey Dory or even Sableye, checking a TM evolution, you could potentially have a clean board wipe in the end. Having likes of Radiant Charizard as well as also Blood Moon. Luna has that really good late game finishing to get these big one-hit codes in the likes of Regidrago, teaming it with the likes of Monkey Dory. Another good card which I think is really powerful is one like the Hassle. Digging 8 cards and taking a few more is really, really powerful. I think much stronger than Chorus because you get to see a little bit more and the other stuff doesn't go into the lost zone. I do think that one of the struggles right now with this deck is I do think you could really struggle with the likes of the threat of Kiram is going to be nearly every other deck. But we do play likes of Lost Vacuum, so you kind of have a way a little bit around that one. But I would generally say Lost Box is definitely a little bit on the back burner for Worlds, but I can see it do pretty well and have a deep run overall. My number 7 pick is everyone's favorite deck of this channel, Chien-Pao, and I still think this is in a very good spot. The 2 new cards it gains are incredibly powerful. Serendipity and Night Stretcher really do add to the deck, and you realize, how did I not play this deck beforehand? Some of the deck is kind of focusing on more going to back more of the Palkia build and not relying on the likes of the Iron Hands. I still think looking at the meta right now, Iron Hands are still working incredibly well. But lots of decks play Walkability, the very powerful, aggressive ones like Regidrago, even the likes of Raging Bolt, or if you look at Charizard and Gardevoir, they also play very low HP Pokemon, so this is what Iron Hands can really capitalize. The matchups, however, not so good. You have a pretty poor Regidrago matchup, but I would say going into the format, you have a much stronger Charizard matchup because you're very powerful. And if you constantly get out the turn to Iron Hands or even the likes of Greninja play, you're in a much stronger spot. But the rest of the metagame, I would say you're pretty weak. Again, looking at the deck right now, the only real new card I've really added to this one is Serendipity. You could add the likes of Night Stretcher, but going to my testing, I haven't really seen it to be as impactful. It is a really good inclusion to have. I think going with more 3 copies of Cypher Maniac is much stronger in a way because it guarantees that draw factor can lead into the likes of your Serendipity. I generally think this is in a very good spot moving into the metagame going forward. Chien-Pao could potentially be a sleeper pick right now. Definitely should be on your radar for testing. I would say it's definitely up there as a tier 2 deck for the World Championships. So all in all, I think that Chien-Pao is going to do very well. Number 6 spot actually goes to the likes of Lugia. Now, Lugia didn't really gain anything, but it's kind of gone back to the Cinccino build. The one deck before, which was NEIC, played like the likes of Drapion, which was what Alex Szymanski really piloted, and more copies of Iron Hands and some Lightning Energy with Earthen Vessels. And to be fair, I think that's a good inclusion overall. But I think with how powerful the likes of Regidrago, Charizard, and Regidrago, these big one-prize Pokemon, the 2-prize Pokemon, this is when Cinccino could be really powerful. Check her legacy on there. All of a sudden, you can get these big one-hit KOs on your opponent's Pokemon, and they can effectively miss a prize, which is really, really strong, especially in going to Lugia's favor. Looking at the matchup spread, it's pretty good right now online, and that's a very good thing going for Lugia. Lightning isn't as strong as it once was. You have to play Iron Hands in certain decks, but there's none of those Turbo Iron Hands or the future Iron Hands deck right now. You could potentially see some like quad Iron Thorns, but I would say going into Worlds format where you need to go 6-2 minimum, you're not going to be seeing these fun gimmicky decks. You're going to go with straight and consistency ones, and that's where Lugia really shines. Again, we didn't really gain much things, but we're seeing going to more of a 70 HP Machinos because, yes, I know the 60 HP is very strong, but Dragapult is doing very, very well, both on its own as well as also in Regidrago, so you don't want to give any reliance on that way. I think Jamming Tower is a really good inclusion, especially against the likes of the Gardevoir, taking additional more prize cards, such down the likes of Rescue Board, or even like Team Evos of certain decks could be really, really devastating to the opponent's side. I generally think this is a really strong build of Lugia. I'm really excited to see how Lugia can actually be performing right now, going back to more Chien-Pao build to really try and help out. Yes, I know they can easily be KO'd by the likes of Dusknoir, but again, you gain a prize card that sort of way. Number 5 pick goes to Dragapult, and me personally, I think Dragapult has been definitely much more of a sleeper deck for quite a while, but right now after NAIC, and especially on the online scene, and going into seeing how the meta has developed in Japan, Dragapult is definitely shot back up again. Gaining likes of First Antipathy, Night Stretch, and Dusknoir is really, really impactful. Dusknoir making sure you can spread your damage counts around, so Phantom Dive can easily take multiple prize cards is really strong. First Antipathy draw into your packages, so cards you might need to be for combo pieces, and then go for pitch shot. So there's also Night Stretch, guarantee gain your energy because it's so difficult to get your energy to Dragapult, and Night Stretch really adds to it. We can see online it's kind of doing okay overall, and the meta spread as well is definitely a bit more impactful. Having a quite weak Regidrago is definitely a little bit more of a worry sort of threat, but I think with Dusknoir, it can really help you in that sort of matchup, right? Setting up so Phantom Dive can actually get the big one-hit KOs, even with likes of a Defiance Pad attached to this. This is a list which I think is a very strong way how we kind of play Dragapult in the future. We can see it does play the likes of Night Stretcher as well as also Dusknoir. Kind of utilizing your Dusknoir line from using a Night Stretcher is really strong. And like I said, Defiance Pad, chuck it on a Dragapult, use the Dusclops, and also do 280 damage on the opponent's active Pokemon's Regidrago is really, really strong. And I think that could be the best way how this Dragapult can really keep up in that sort of factor. Playing 2 copies of Mellow as their energy acceleration as well as also up in Neo is also very, very strong. And having obviously Forest Hill Stone and Rotom, feeling like how Charizard is so strong is incredibly powerful to kind of like keep up in the game. You may also notice that most Pidgeys have kind of gone down to the 60 HP one, purely on how scared people are of that Dusclops. Now, this is also very early to tell, but I do think Dusknoir is going to be in a lot of decks, and this isn't the last time we're seeing it in this list. So I definitely say if you'd be testing out for Dragapult, if you want to know more about Dragapult, obviously watch my mastering video on my channel, which I would definitely be a really good entry point to understanding the deck. But there's also, I think it could be a very, very strong, but it's not the strongest Dragapult list, which we are going to talk about. But number 4 pick goes to the likes of Gardevoir. Yes, I still think Gardevoir is very strong. It does gain a few new cards like First Antipathy and Night Stretcher, but also it's doing incredibly well in the online scene, especially after its dominated factor at NAIC and hasn't really slowed down at all. Looking at the matchups, it's pretty good overall. Some of your worst matchups are the likes of Lost Box and Dragapult. Why? Because they spread lots of damage counts around and you like to put damage on your guys. Yes, you have Munkidori to move them all around, but I would say Gardevoir is in a very good spot right now to be kind of being one of the most dominant decks. They are being very, very powerful. Psychic Embrace is a perfect combination of Munkidori, and I am always going to be aware that when I did say Munkidori isn't going to be as powerful in Gardevoir, but I definitely eaten my words because how powerful Munkidori is, and it's definitely going to be a mainstay in Gardevoir going forward. Looking at how it's kind of being played right now, I'm definitely still keeping likes of Cresselia to move some damage counters because I still think it's really strong. If we look at the likes of Gardevoir is also doing very, very powerful, Dragapult as well as also Charizard, there's quite a lot of single prize Pokemon which could easily get some prize with Cresselia. The new card First Antipathy really does open up the deck, saying goodbye to the likes of Radiant Greninja and adding to the likes of First Antipathy, having a guaranteed onboard draw 3 up one of your Pokemon's knocked out, which is going to happen quite frequently, is a really good inclusion. I am still a huge fan of Red Cannon and Gardevoir. One of the struggles I really found with Gardevoir, especially in your Charizard matchup, because I feel like that's going to be even worse right now, is they're kind of be clearing out your Curlies from the likes of Dusknoirs, and maybe even Dusclops, and even the attacking, sometimes even the likes of Lost Vacuum, take multiple prize cards that way, and you kind of be left on the board with no real outs to get Gardevoir very quickly. Having a rare candy which can easily be found for likes of Arven, or even guaranteed searching it through most of the inbuilt draw factor, I think is really, really powerful. It keeps you in the game. Obviously, one of the best ways to play Gardevoir is a churro play, Clap Stadium, not keeping your Gardevoirs out and play to really help you in with certain matchups. But I generally think right now, having that one-off rare candy could really save you in multiple outs. The rest of the list is very straightforward. I think the 2 Munkidori is really strong. There have been some like techie versions going to the TM Devolution is a nice inclusion to have, but honestly, in my testing and kind of my understanding of the deck, I really have enjoyed the two Drifloon and also a Screamtail, having a really high pressure attacking options. Screamtail, you sometimes don't even need to have the Bravery Charm from how many decks play likes of Lumia's got ability to guarantee some prizes that way. And also Fluxmane is really good to slow down multiple decks, and some people might generally forget its ability to shut off the active Pokemon. And sometimes even if Charizard, forcing them to like switch into their Pidgeot, switch out of their Charizard to kind of like use all their effects could be very devastating for them. My number 3 pick goes to Chien-Pao. This is a deck which I've loved how much it's kind of grown up in the metagame. It's doing incredibly well and kind of gained 2 really strong cards. Technically 3 if you want to include the Blood Moon Earth Luna, but that kind of was a gimmicky card which hasn't really seen that much success since. Obviously this is dominated play over in Japan. We've seen it constantly climb the ladder online to be one of the strongest and most played decks. If we look at the matchup spread again, it's still very, very powerful. I think an incredibly good Regidrago matchup, which I think is very, very strong. Charizard matchup can be a little bit iffy because effectively you can put them on a 1-off price or meta game, which can be very, very devastating for these big 2-prize and beast stick decks. The rest of the meta, I think, is still pretty nice overall. I would say it's definitely very, very aggressive, and 2-Mask Ogerpon really adds so much to the deck. And again, this isn't the only 2-Mask Ogerpon deck which we look at. If we look at some of the new cards of what we could really add to this one, we can see the likes of Night Stretcher and Sensitivity really fit in so nicely. Still having the Standing Shocks as your single price attacking option because you need something against Mimikyu, unless you want to attack in the likes of Cantus and Clone to help in that one. You need to have a single price Pokemon, whether it be to off track their prize map, as well as also having that good single price attacking option against the decks. I think it's a very, very good inclusion in the list. I think the rest of it is still very, very straightforward. How we've kind of evolved to play the deck. I really do like the likes of still having the bug catching set, energy retrieval, as well as also Night Stretcher, having multiple ways to kind of guarantee to get some energies, and also Pokemon Catcher. Similar like Roaring Moon, I think kind of again this gusting effect, as well as also having Pesticide Fatality is really, really strong, and not relying on likes of Prime Catcher. I'm a big fan about where this deck kind of can go around with, and with likes of energy retrieval, multiple ways to get energies back, Greninja obviously a really good pick. Very, very fast, very, very aggressive, and really intrigued to see how we'll actually play at the World Championships. Now let's go to my number 2 spot, which some people might argue could be number 1. This is actually Charizard, and this has taken me so much because I love Charizard Duskmore. I think it's such an interesting deck. A deck which plays 3 stage 2 decks, stage 2 Pokemon, and it's still viable. One of the strongest archetypes. Is so cool to think about. Like a way back one day back in like Gen 3 or Gen 4, where Pokemon would play a ton of different stage 2 decks and it would actually work. You can see it's not doing right route now in the metagame, but I think that 100% will change a week today when we see Shadow Fable being legal on TCG Live. We gained likes of Serendipity, so additional more draw factor, which works really well to draw into your combo pieces before you pitch up. Night Stretcher trying to like get back any of your Duskmore lines, as well as also energies, which this deck doesn't play that much. There's also obviously Duskmore, which really works so well into your Burning Darkness. I've talked a ton of link onto this deck, which you can definitely see on my mastering video, so check it out if you want to know a bit more about this one. Looking at the matchups right now, it definitely is outlining exactly what is your worst matchup. Regidrago, it really is so bad, even going into this format and going into the next one as well. Having a lot of HP, spraying likes of Dragapult, and you can't really ramp up to get a big point code can be really, really devastating for you. One of the things I think the deck really does add, which you could do, like I mentioned before, you can have the likes of the Bravery, not the what's it called? The Dusclops, as well as also the likes of the Defiance Bank, really help you kind of like win back a prize trade a little bit against Regidrago, but it could be very difficult to maintain. This is kind of my updated list. Has changed a little bit since I've shared it. We can see we've said goodbye to the likes of any of the techie cards like Eerie and stuff like that. I'm going more streamlined, going to 4 Arvins. One of the cards I would love to add is a TM Devolution, or even upping like some Nest Ball count, which could really help your Regidrago matchup. Going down to the 4-1 3-line Charizard, I think it's the best thing. 6 HP Pidgeot, and still going with Pidgey, still going with the 2-1-1 Dusknoir, because I think it's still the best way to go around it. Manaphy is definitely going to be a mainstay with how scared you are of Radiant Greninja plays, as well as also the likes of Kyurem. If you don't respect Kyurem, they can easily take multiple prize cards from you that way. I think Charizard is in a really good spot. I think Unfair Stamp really is so powerful. And effectively with this and Serendipity and Pidgeot, you can effectively see a lot of cards, potentially even 9 cards in a single turn, which is really, really crazy to think about. I think this is one of the strongest decks we've seen in such a long time. And it's one of these decks which, in the mirror match, which I played a few days ago against Justin, it's an absolute head mash. You're trying to figure out exactly how you're going to go around this one. And effectively, he took out 2 Charizards in one turn, in basically turn 3, because of how powerful this matchup really is. Now, it's obviously talk, we've mentioned it multiple times. The number 1 deck, which I think is going to do the best at the World Championships, is Regidrago VSTAR. Yes, I generally think this is one of the strongest decks right now in the format, and it definitely has been a sleeper deck. It really has climbed the ranks. If you've seen the online communities where you listen to your podcast, YouTube, or even likes on Twitter, where you've seen that Regidrago has become a mainstay of conversation of how powerful it really is. Has an amazing inbuilt draw factor of Ogerpon. Having the energy switches to kind of power up your Regidrago is so easy. You don't need to rely on Gardevior's Vigor. It's gained really powerful attacking options in the last few sets. Dragapult from Twilight Masquerade, but also we gained the likes of Haxorus and Kyurem in the next one, which is really strong. We can see its matchups are still pretty powerful overall. Raging Ball is a pretty weak one because they can instantly get these big one-hit kills. They're a 2-price deck. The likes of a Raging Bolt is also a 2-price deck, but they're going to potentially get them attack first off, and also you win the price rate that way. If I just look at how I'm playing Regidrago right now, you can see I'm only really playing a few of the new cards. Presentipity I think is really good for that draw factor. Still playing likes of Mew because you want to have as much draw factor as possible in Regidrago because you're so aggressive. Having the 2 Dragapults is such a good inclusion because if you prize one, you want to have it guaranteed out to this. I love the Goodra and Giratina as other attacking options for the deck. The reason why Goodra is so good because you can beef up your HP and protect it and still do a pretty decent amount chunk of damage. I think Tina is better than Raging Bolt for Drago. You're not sacrificing as much energies, and effectively with the likes of Dragapult, you're already going to spread loads of damage counters anyway, and you can effectively make even 4, even 5 prize turns, which I think is much stronger than having a very aggressive Raging Bolt, which effectively you could also start with. Yes and no, Kyurem you could also start with as well, but I think Kyurem is a really good inclusion for this deck, purely in the fact because you want to stop the likes of Lost Box, and effectively you could even win a lot more Chien-Pao. You may have noticed in my Chien-Pao I did play the likes of Manaphy because I generally am scared for Kyurem and how powerful this could be. Hawlucha adds so much for a deck to try and get that additional more damage counter on us. Once to Dragapult, you could get that 70 HP Pokemon can instantly be KO'd. This is a very fast, very aggressive deck with 4 open vessels, 4 energy switch. I'm even playing the likes of Night Stretch to try and get back some energies, or even Pokemon as well, because you're so aggressive in now draw factor. I really think that Regidrago has been a sleeper pick for so long. It's finally had time to shine by having some amazing dragon cards being printed back to back, and it's just waiting for Ogerpon. So having the last 6 months basically of its life kind of seen it is really exciting to see. So let me know what you think of this video. Have any of these decks which I kind of talked about missed a lot? Yes, I know the likes of Control I think could be really powerful, even Miraidon and Roaring Moon, but I generally think they aren't going to be as strong as you really once thought. I know having the ban of that Petron promo, I was really excited and did some fun testing with this deck, so I'm very sad to see that won't be actually going to impact the world metagame. If you guys have enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe and comment down below what deck do you think might actually win the World Championships. Obviously, me personally, I would love the likes of Charizard to do well. A deck which had 3 Stage 2 Pokemon dominating the metagame could be really exciting to see. But I think the likes of Regidrago has that fun meme potential, but also has the likes of very similarity to the likes of Mew and Mewtwo tag team. I could see it definitely go all the way. Let me know what you think of this video, and I will see you guys in a few days' time for the next one. Bye for now.